Well, this week in Daily Devotions, we are talking about influencers. Well, what the heck is an influencer? You go on TikTok and the kids are doing, the floss, whatever they're doing out there, and the different dance moves, and all of a sudden everybody and their sisters doing it in school, and the kids in the neighborhood, they're all doing it. Some of the adults are trying it, and people are saying, whether it's the DAP or whatever, the power of media or of an athlete to have a sphere of influence. Well, there's a different kind of influence as well. I think about Andrew, the disciple. He said, what do you mean? There's hardly any print of this guy at all. Everything's about Peter, and he gets mentioned, tons of times, and everybody thinks, oh, Peter on this rock, I'm going to build my church. But let's take a step back a minute. For every person who's like a strong, charismatic figure in the church, there's always somebody who introduced them to God, who influenced their decision to go to church, to pray, to read the Bible for the first time, to go to a youth group meeting. When in this church, I believe that there was a person named Ethel. Some people talk about her, and I hope I have her name right. She preceded me by about 20 years. But I can hear so many members of our church talk about, the first person who welcomed me to this church was this lady. And she was so welcoming. She took time to show us around, tour us, introduce us to people, and we felt so warmly welcome. Then we thought, we got to stay here. This is like home. See, not all influence is on posts and texts and talks. Sometimes when you're thinking about what do I have to do, what does God have me? What's my calling? Well, perhaps some of you are called to be welcoming, hospitable, gracious introducers of the Lord. To be people who make a stranger, and you never know why somebody steps into a church. Most of the time, people have gone through something tough, traumatic, or searching or struggling for something bigger than themselves. Have questions about faith or God, or have had something like a Mack truck hit them in life, and they felt a need to be closer to God and God people. And so here they go. People often who have never been to a church before and don't know what to expect. And if they're totally ignored, they're given the cold shoulder or just stares. Somebody tells them, you're sitting in my pew. It stinks. Yes, I did that on purpose. But maybe part of being an influencer is just magnifying the welcome and the grace of God. Whether it's in a church, it's in a school with a new kid who's just come into your class, or it's at work, or on a family outing, or out amongst people, and you extend the warmth of a greeting, and people can't help but feel the love of God in you. So I ask you, who influenced you? Or who brought you closer to God? Why are you here? Better yet, because of whom are you here? And one more question for you to chew on today. Who will be closer to God because of you and your influence?